Hello again everybody, I'm Larry Hamilton. Welcome to my YouTube painting channel. Thank you for watching. Today we're going to do a watercolor painting, and it's going to be a scene from something you might see in Florida or along the coast. I don't exactly know where you might see this. It's kind of made up of my imagination. I don't have a photo, I don't have a sketch, and I'm probably not going to have much face time with you. I have some dermatological damage on my face here that I'm going to try to hide, but it looks pretty ugly, so I don't want to spend too much time on camera. I do want to go over to my computer and give you a couple of thoughts about what I'm planning today, and so you can paint along with me if you want, or just watch. So I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, here we are back at my computer now, and I want to show you, this is sort of the rough draft I did of the painting I'm trying to create. It's sort of like a shack that's built on somewhere on the coast somewhere. It's got some few docks and places for boats to pull in and either get food or water or some kind of maybe fuel, but it's a pretty much of a I just called it the landing for lack of a better term, and so I wanted to take you through that and just tell you what we're going to do today. And I wanted to show you what I did. I took this and made it a black and white out of it, and that's what's been on the screen. It's just a black and white of it. So first thought I might try to just do a black and white scene. You can do a nice scene out of this, which might be very nice. But then I didn't feel like I wanted to just stay black and white today. I wanted to try to get some color in it, so I'll do that. I do have a sketch that's slightly different than this. I took the sign that was on the left of the building and moved that to the right. I changed the boat from a sort of a sailboat to just a little rowboat type thing and put a palm tree here on the left. So that's what the sketch looks like. That's what I'll be painting with today, painting on. So I'm not even staying on my own sketch, my original sketch, my original painting. So anyway, we'll try to get through this and see how we like it. It's kind of be ad-lib today, and nothing very specific, and nothing not trying to follow a photo, that's for sure. So let me go back to the easel and we'll go through the paints and brushes and get started. Hold on. Okay, here I am back at my easel now, and back to my paints and brushes. I want to go through my palette. This is my Sterling Edwards palette, and I have my three bristle brushes here, short bristle brushes that are his design: large brush, medium, and small, and use those for getting paper wet and for doing a lot of blending and soft edges. Got a couple of flats here, a 1 inch and a ½ inch flat. I have 3 rounds. I have a number 12, number 8, number 4 round, and I have a number 6 rigger here. So those are the brushes that we'll have available. I don't know if I'll use all of those. I will use some of them, but I kind of pick the ones I want as the painting goes along. So let's go through the paints, and these are the Holbein transparent watercolors. And first here we have Payne's Gray, we have Cobalt Blue, Ultramarine Deep Blue, Prussian Blue, Permanent Violet, Hooker's Green, Umber, Burnt Sienna, Quinacridone Scarlet, Bright Rose, Brilliant Orange, Quinacridone Gold, Permanent Yellow, and Cad Lemon Yellow. So that's the colors that we've got, and we'll be going here just a second. Okay, so we're back now. I'm going to start my painting class here, and we'll keep going. Okay, here we go. I think that's pretty good. I think you can see that. I'm out of the picture, so that's where I want to be. And put my palette on over here for you. Actually, I want to move this over a little bit more, like this. There we go. So the live audience can see the full screen and see the smaller palette. Okay, so I do re-edit these videos so that any things that turn up here that are goofy or whatever, I will edit those out. And if you're watching here and you want to ask me a question or comment, just key it into the chat window. I have a computer up here by my easel, and I can talk back to you, at least through the chat window, and rather than type it in, I'll probably just answer your questions. Okay, so here we have the sketch. It's a little bit different than the rough draft I showed you. And so I'm going to wet this thing down now. We're going to use clear water and my big, I guess that's a 2-inch flat bristle brush, and we'll start putting this stuff in. And here we go. Okay, we kind of get it as wet as we can. This is 300-pound Fabriano Artistico cold press watercolor paper, so it holds a lot of water, has a lot of texture on the surface, and so we're going to use that as our base today. Try to keep it wet up here until I get the sky and that sort of stuff in. So hopefully you're still with me and you're following along here. Don't have to paint along with me if you don't want. Certainly it's kind of hard to do if you don't have your television or your computer in an area where you can paint. I understand that. I'm going to get a little bit of my ultra blue and my burnt sienna here, and I'm going to make a slightly gray color, and probably a little more bluer than it is gray, and see if I can get going here with this. See what happens here. We put some of this in. Just going to put in some vertical type things here. This is all background. Put this in, run down to here, over to there. Change the color a little bit, pick up maybe a little more blue back in this area, and color around this little signboard that's out there. I'm going to try to paint something in there hopefully after a while, and then change the color again and make it a little bit grayer, browner over this way maybe. I don't know. Haven't figured out where the sun's coming from yet, but I think I'll have it coming from the right, I believe. So we can just assume that's where the sun is. All right, let's go here. And maybe a little more blue in this area. This watercolor paint's always dry about 20% lighter than when you put them on. So when you put them on, if the color looks the way you want the final painting to look, it's probably wrong. You probably need to go back and darken it. I'm going to put some down here where the water is going to be, because this is all going to be water, and I don't want it to get into my boat. I don't have to here. Let's hold off on that right there. You can kind of just stop it with the, if you dry the paper right there, it will stop the running. And put this under here. Got a little water going on under here maybe. So just get some base color on there. Get some big shapes going on. I'm getting in my roof over here. All right. It's really just kind of an underpainting. It can have as much of this as you want. I'm trying to keep a little bit of white paper around my center of interest, which I think is going to be probably around this boat area. That's where maybe the most detail will be in this area. But I'm not even sure of that right now. I'm just kind of playing it by ear and kind of letting this stuff kind of go where it wants to go, and we'll work from there. This has got to be more watery here, coming down. All right, that's good enough. So this is sort of the underpainting of everything, and that's our sky. And you want to stay out of there. Once you get a lot of that in, you kind of want to leave it alone, let it get soft, let it do its thing, and not get too involved trying to control it, because you can't control it very well anyway, so don't. It's my best advice to you. Don't try to control it. Try to get it where you want it, and leave it at that. This is going to be a sort of a beach here. The actual size of this house is larger than it was on the draft that I did, because I wanted to put more of the building in the painting than the sky. And so I've got some stuff that looks like there's some clouds floating around out there, a little blue sky. So there could be sun shining in this way. We'll assume the sun's kind of coming from the upper right hand side. It's a good thing to maybe remind myself by putting a little arrow up here that says this is the sun coming in there, and that will keep my mind on that. And I think I can see that pretty well. Okay, all right, so much for the sky. Now I'm in you've heard me talk about my studio here. It's a very small space, and it's usually pretty warm, and I've got a couple hot warm lights on me, and so my paper dries out very, very quickly here. And so this down here is already dry at the bottom, and this was only wet because I just put fresh paint on it. So I'm going to pretty much be doing wet on dry right now. And I'll be staying out of the sky as much as possible. I'm going to get my flat 1-inch nylon brush here, and we're going to put a little bit of a roof on this building here. I'm going to get some of my orange and something that looks like maybe some old tin here, put a little blue over there, maybe see how that works, and just put in a few things in this building that get it running a little bit. The roof here, and I got a nice glob of orange there you can see, and every time I touch it, it comes down and makes that little mark that you see right there. Okay, and I also want to use my 1-inch bristle brush and take the water out of it, get clear water in it, and then take the water out of it, and then just sort of soften these edges down here and let this sort of run down as the roof might look. It's a very light roof, but I'm going to have some very darker trees behind it, so I want that to be sort of light. Okay, and it's probably a little too early to put those trees in. I could put those in if I use a drier paint. And what do I mean by a drier paint? When you're working with watercolor, all paint's got water in it, but some can be drier than others. And when you have a paint like I have here on this palette, and you run your finger through it like that, and it fills back in, you don't see a mark for my finger, that's really wet paint. If I take that wet paint and stick it up here in the sky, it's going to make a blossom, a cauliflower, a bloom, whatever you want to call it, and it's going to look ugly. So the way you get around that when you're painting wet in wet is that you start using a drier paint, which means you got more paint in your brush and less water. So I'm making sort of a drier version of the paint here, and I'm going to add some of my yellow. I'm going to get 2 or 3 colors here of color for my trees, and I'm going to show you, try to put it in. That's still a little wet up there. I haven't dried the paper or anything, but I'm using my hooker's green, my ultramarine blue deep, and I'm getting this color here, and I've not put hardly any water in this. I just sort of taken whatever's in the brush. And if I run my finger through this now, see what happens. See that? You see the mark where my finger went. That means that paint is a lot drier than this paint over on the left. I still run my finger here, and it fills back in. But over here, it doesn't fill back in. So this paint, I should be able to take this paint, what I call drier paint, and put it on this paint on here on the paper, and it's not going to make a blossom. So let's test that theory and see. Boom. How's that look? Not too bad. Like this. I'm going to get some lighter paint over here on this side, put some I'm using the back of the brush, side of the brush, and trying to make some things that look like they might be a palm tree fronds. Down here I'm going to leave a little room for some a trunk or two, and just make it look like there's some really nice stuff going on. As this is coming out this way, I want this to probably be lighter over here because I said the sun was going to be coming from the right hand side. So let's put a few of these light, more yellow-green within it, and we'll pop some of these up here and see if we can make a few. See what goes on here in the middle is basically can be anything, but you tell the viewer what this is by what you put on the edges. So if the edges say it looks like those are palm fronds or some sort of a tree that's very light and airy, they'll think that's a palm tree maybe, right? And that's the idea about this kind of painting, where you don't worry nearly as much about what's in the center. We're not trying to paint every palm frond and every branch and everything that's in there, coconut or whatever you might put in there. We're actually painting a glob of paint, and then we're using the brush to, on the edges, define what that is. And that's a secret that a lot of painters forget. You don't have to paint every detail, every branch of a tree. You don't have to paint every nook and cranny that's in the tree trunk. You can just paint a blob and then make it look like something. So here I'm going to put a couple of tree trunks in here. Look like it might be part of a palm tree. I'm using this big brush because I want to stay loose. People want to know how to stay loose. Well, use a big brush. That will keep you loose. I'm going to put a little bit up here, maybe another one. Okay, and one up here. We'll kind of blend those together. Maybe there's another one here. Let's get a little darker, a different color here, and put him up here like this. And maybe there's a few marks up there in the bed. Let's and we'll take another one here like this. All right, and then I can soften some of these edges with my damp brush, and so that we get more blending going on and we don't have everything all hard edge. This is all hard edge right now. So let's see if we can blend some of this in, make it look like it kind of goes together in some areas. That's adding sort of to the three-dimensional effect of this whole thing here, as if we can make a few soft edges and even make it look like there's some other trees back there behind, right? If you want to make this very light up there, just taking this soft brush, this bristle brush, and just kind of pushing it around. And even over here maybe there's something going up this way. It's kind of a fun way to do your paintings, because you're not slave to a photograph, you're not slave to a sketch, and just kind of do what you want to do with it, and kind of listen to the paint and what the paper's telling you, and let's fill it in. Okay, so you can see that now I have this down on my roof area, and Looks like it's coming over my roof area, which I don't like. So how are we going to fix that? Well, always use some clear water again and sort of brush it and just brush it right out of there. I think I'm going to have to make that roof a little darker. I'm going to get my other half-inch brush here. We're going to come back and put in a few more darks on that roof to kind of give it a little more distinction, so we know that there's definitely a roof here like this, and we'll let that set, and we'll blend those colors in with the brush, with our bristle brush. All of a sudden now we're getting a darker roof. We're able to see that, and makes some nice looking roof there. Okay. All right. I think the roof's done. I think those trees are pretty much done. I could put a few scrapes in there to see if there's any. I don't know that this is going to help that much, but we'll see if we can put a couple of things in there that make it kind of look like there's that tree's going up somewhere here, and something like that. When you put those detailed scrapes in like that, it looks more like a hardwood tree than it does a palm tree. But that's we'll just take what we got right now. Okay, so let's go back and just touch this guy right here, and I'll make sure we have a line of demarcation there for that tree. All right, now let's go down here by the bottom of this, right in here, and see if we can put in some sort of the eave of this little building here, and something like that. It's going to just kind of mark it off and say that's where it is. And so I'm going to come down now on this building. I'll stay on this building here. I'm going to get some more of my Payne's gray, maybe a little purple in it, and we'll start coming down this building here and see what this looks like here. It's going to be probably pretty gray, something like that. Change the color. What color? It doesn't matter. Just make that, and go back over here, and we'll put a few more things over here like this. And paint around this door back there, and change this color again and make some well, this is just an old building that's been built out here on a beach somewhere. A guy set himself up a little business and trying to cater to the boat owners that kind of come in, and get them some food maybe, and some bait maybe if they're fishing, and all right, so we got a window, we got a big thing on the wall that kind of tells about what he's doing, and then we got an open door here, and that's pretty much it. I don't want to do too much more there. I'm going to put a addendum onto this building back here and make it make it a different color, so we know it's part of this, but it's not necessarily, wasn't built at the same time. So we'll have a couple of windows in that thing, and put them in there, and we'll have it soft edge down at the bottom where we're going to be joining the grass down here, so it's going to want that bottom edge soft. Some of these edges in this could be softer. Let's see, let's make a few of these softer in here so it can blend together when we want to. Maybe something over here. Not too much, just give it some texture. You want rough texture, soft texture. The rough texture, hard texture, say wood. Soft texture, not so much. We do have a whole set of decking going on down here. Let's see if I can get a color that looks like that's going to work and hold off and give us a little bit of a different color here, so we can distinguish from the building and from the grass and that sort of stuff. And so we're just sort of, it's going to be grassy on the bottom of it down here, so let's soften that up. And then if we want grass above it, we'll just put some grass above that. Palm tree here. I've got these posts that hold this whole building, this whole place up. What am I going to do with those? Let's see. Let's get a combination of some of these colors here and see if I can get a big old post here that's kind of holding a bunch of this stuff up. Okay. And I want to have a little darker side on one side. I want it to be a little bit soft here in the bottom, because this is going to run into the ground here. And I'm going to make that like that. Come back and get some more colors for this other post. There's another big post right here. I want it to be able to stand out and look different than the other post. Put a little bit of green in there. Leave a little white on the top. Maybe even make this sort of a split thing. It's got kind of a couple posts going on there that's holding the front of this building up. And same deal with the bottom, since it's either going to join the water or it's going to join the beach. I haven't figured that out yet, but we'll put either beach along here or whatever. And so we got another big post here that's going right into this, holding everything up there. And there's another one right beside it. Let's put that in right here. There's a double post at the end of this building, and give him some more brown maybe. I don't know. So it's just something to kind of give it some stability there. Got a few of them in the back here that goes under the deck on the other side. And put a couple of those in. Okay, so I'm just kind of laying those in, letting them all right, we're getting a thing that looks like a shack. Carol asks about color saturation. After drying, my watercolors are too light even for me when I like soft color. This is normal? ? Have any tips? I think it must be the amount of water I use. That's for sure. That's what I was just showing this little example here on my palette, where you have a lot of water in your paint in a palette, and if you can draw a line through there with your finger and it closes back in, like I'm showing you right here now, this is a very wet paint. So when I put that on, it's not only going to be wet from there, but it's going to be wet from any water I have in my painting. So if I have a wet paper and put this on there, it's going to really get light. You see how light my sky got? It's really light now. So you want to come back and darken that. You want to put more paint in it, less water. Don't add too much water to it. And once you put more paint in, you get a thicker paint. I'm just adding some burnt sienna here. And when I run my finger through this now, hopefully it's going to be a clear line. You see that line? That means that paint is a lot drier, so it's going to stick on. It's not going to get as light as fast. It's not going to lighten up as much, I should say, because when you put it on, it's going to stay pretty concentrated. I'm going to put a few of these little things in here to kind of add some color to these posts that I've already laid in. Got another post out here I want to lay in. Hope that helps explain that, because that's the big part of watercolor, is trying to know how much water is where, how much water is in your paint, how much water is in your paper, how much water is in your brush. And the tools that we use are designed to help us control some of that. So you have to know how to measure that, and how to know how much water you got where. And that's not always an easy thing to do. You have to think about that, and it takes a lot of practice, actually. And this, I don't know if you can see this thing on my palette here. I have my two containers of water, one for clean water, one for colored water, or dirty water. And I have this thing over here. It's basically a roll of toilet paper wrapped with paper towel, and it's really, really absorbent. So if I want to get the water out of my brush, and I have a lot of water in it, I can take my brush and just touch it on there, and it just sucks the water right out of it. You see that right there? It just sucks the water right out. So if I want, even if my paint is wetter than I want, if I lay it on this paper towel here, it's going to suck a lot of the water out, and it'll still keep the paint in there. You won't lose the paint. So that's the idea. See, but this paint now is really a lot lighter when I put this on here, just because I did that. So I'm making my little my platform here that's being held up by these posts, little docks, little places for people to bring their boats in and hook them up. And these posts don't have to be, they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be straight, because if they've been in the water any time, or if they're very old, they're probably not straight. They've probably been bent over. And let me get a little more shadow on this side here, and just drop it in while it's wet, and then it diffuses. So that's a nice trick to learn how to do. Over here, I'm going to come back. Let's see. Let me put a little bit of get this color, this reddish orange color, and I'm going to drop it on this little roof line over here. Get this out of the way, and just leave that. Come back and put a little bit of darker brown underneath it, and get it darker than that. Get a little shadow into there. Okay, so it looks like that's where it belongs. We got some shadows here. All right, so I have this whole board here that kind of runs along the back, and it's going to run into my tree. It's probably going to continue on over here off the paper, and so that's basically how people from land are going to get to this building, and people from the water are going to come in by boat. Okay, so let's see here. What else can we do here? All right, I have my boat there. It's sketched in very lightly, and I think I'm going to leave it pretty much light. I'm going to come back with my water. I'm going to paint around this, but I think I'm going to leave that for a minute. I'm going to come and do these windows here while I've got my colors here in the palette, and see if I can paint around those. Put a little darker frame around them, maybe. I don't know. Put in just throw in a few things here to make it look like we got some windows in there. Something like that. It's an old beat up operation here. It's not very... I'm just kind of putting in some things to make that look like there's a window of some kind. This is the one I want to work on with some dark. I want it to look dark, and I want you to think you're walking back into a sort of a dark unlit room back here. So I'm getting a really dark color here with my Payne's gray, my blue, ultra blue, and my purple. Getting a really dark bluish purple color. So in this area I want to have a very dark color, and it's really not dark enough, probably, because it's, as I said before, it's going to Sue asks if this is an enamel palette or plastic. It's plastic. Very lightweight. It's also designed by Sterling Edwards. He has a palette. He has designed these brushes, and he sells them on his website. You can also buy them at, I think, Cheap Joe's has them, and there's a number of places you can buy his brushes and his paints, or not paints, but you can buy Holbein paints about anywhere, any art store. Sterling has his particular set of paints on his website, and the exact ones that he uses. So if you don't want to buy them one, two at a time, you can just go to his website and get a package and pay for them all at once. They're not the cheapest paints. Holbein are not the cheapest paints, but they are some of the very best artist quality paints that you can get. And so now I have this dark thing that looks like when you walk on this decking, you're going to be able to walk into a room there that's really got no lights. There is a little light coming in from the back, and we'll show you that by doing this little job here with my brush. If I can do that, get my dark paint going again here. Do this, and do this. Like that. Okay, so now you see the window. You see through the building. You see the window on the other side. And do a little softening here, kind of blend it in so it kind of doesn't look stuck on, and leave it at that. I think maybe I can also always, in places like this where you have the a dark thing, place like that, sometimes you want to see what's inside it. It's good for barns when you're doing a barn, or might be some, I don't know, some architectural pieces in there. You can always take a razor blade like this, or the back of your painting knife. If your painting knife has a beveled edge like this, you can use it as a scraper. I used that up here in the trees a while ago when the paint was just right. You have to wait till the paint loses its glisten. Right now this is too wet to do anything, but as that paint gets a little duller, a little more matte finish, I'll be able to come in there and scrape a little bit out, and maybe show a couple of boards and beams and stuff back there. All right, a couple more places I want to put this some really dark coloring here. It's over here in this little place right here. Let's put a window or two in over here, like that, and then even in these windows, maybe, let's see, I don't know, this is going to be too dark, maybe. Okay, it looks like windows of some kind. All right. Now I got a boat. I got the sky I want to do. I got this little sign up here, big palm tree, and then I got the foreground grasses, or not grasses, but the beach, sort of the beach look here. I think I've got to put another post here. I just realized I probably need something else to hold up the back end of this right here, so I'm going to pop in this another post right here, and I'm going to make it fit like this. It's going to come down and hit the dirt like these other ones do. Maybe not quite as fat, but still at a different angle. So I've tried to make the distance between these different, and I've made the size and the angle a little different, and that's all because of variety. You want to have variety in your paintings. You want to have a change of size, dimension, something. It's all part of the principles of design, I guess, is what I would call it. And the more variety you have, the more interesting your painting is going to be. Okay, so moving on. I'm going to leave that like it is, I think, for right now, and let's see what else we can get into here for which do I want to do next. I think I want to do this. There's a little back, I put a little mountain range of some sort back here, and I want that to show up as a very light, to get some more paint, maybe a little purple, something when you, to imply to imply, what I'm trying to say, distance. Distance, you want the things in the background to be bluer or purpler, more blue or more purple. So I'm going to make this little mountain ridge out here. It comes under here and comes down to the water out there. And it's supposed to be should be a hard edge out there in the water where it touches the water. I want this to be a rough edge, not hard, rough. It's hard to get it. It's hard to get it rough because of the, I need a drier paint. I need to take the water out of my brush and stumble along like this. There we go. There's some rough texture. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I want this to sort of have that rough texture so it looks like water is kind of lapping up. All right, so make that meet the building here. Do I want any soft edges up there? I don't know, maybe I do. Put a few other colors in here and just sort of soften that out. Give it a little color change, just something so it's not all one gray color, right? Just a little color change. Variety, variation. Okay, now we're going to try to get into the water. Let me get some of this green out of here. I'm going to need it later, but right now I don't need it. I want to get some blue for the water. I'm going to put just a little green in it just to give it a more of a turquoise look. Add my Hooker's green to my ultra blue, and I've got a dry paint here. I'm going to be painting wet on dry, so I want this water, I'm going to outline this boat with this water so that when I come in here and I can show the water, see what that looks like, if that's the right color. You know, that's probably about right. Maybe too dark, but it's going to dry lighter, right? So let's put this whole water line out here like this and pull it down. It's the same. The green helps give it a bit of a color like it would be in the ocean or a bay or something like that. I want this sort of have a hard edge out there where it actually it doesn't have to be hard, it can be soft. Here around this boat, I'm getting into some detail here now, probably more detail than I need to, but I want to outline this boat here, and so you can see what it is. Come back in like this. So, kind of working too hard to make that look like a boat, but I want that to be like that. And then I'm going to use my big brush here and try to soften some of these edges here to kind of blend it together so we don't have so much hard edge out there. Even blend it up to the, and lighten it up maybe. Looks a little dark to me, but it is going to dry lighter. So let's keep coming on down, get a little bigger brush maybe, and bring up some of this again. Here, is it the same color? Almost. Some more water in there. Start pulling it this way, pull it this way. All of this is going to be same color. Let's pull it down. Excuse me. The color's in here. Come back and put some more of that color in here. It's going to just sort of run up here under the. I want those to be darker on the back side. Those need to be in the shadow anyway, so just painting right over them is not a big deal. So this is going to run into the beach here, right, and the sand. So I'm going to soften this edge, but I'm going to finish this out down here. And just sort of lighten it up a little bit, and we'll make this all run into sort of the beach. Okay. Something like that. Moving right along here. Okay, so I want this edge to be soft on the bottom, all this to be soft here. That's going to merge with the beach and the sand that we're going to create here in a minute. And maybe even take out some, we could lift out. One thing about, it's too wet to do that right now, but Fabriano is great for lifting out colors, but lifting out paint. You can go in here and just take something and make that kind of a mark. I'm actually lifting that paint right off of the paper. And so it looks like it has some movement going on there. It's not just stagnant. Okay, so let's go get some quinacridone gold here. And with that, I'm going to add a little bit of my burnt sienna. And what else? Throw in some of this yellow, this brighter yellow. I want it to be very sandy looking. I don't know if that's the right color yet now, but let's see what it looks like here. That could be, it's a little bit dark for sand, but again, paint the color darker than the color you want it to be, because it's going to lighten up, right? So let's put in these colors here. Sort of feed it down. We'll put a little more sand underneath here. Coming out this way. Coming down to here. Going to meet with this. Just sort of running into the water. Got a post here that's in the ground. Post there. So let's see now. Let's get a little more of my brown colors. Let's change this color. It's all the same. So I don't want that to happen. Let's keep the color on the other side of this palm tree. We want to keep that pretty much the same, because that tells you that we're flowing from one side to the other. Something like that. And go back and get some more of this bright yellow and brown and stuff. I'm just, again, putting in pretty much a base color of this stuff. I've really got a bigger brush. I need to be using a bigger brush. Throwing in my yellow, my couple of yellows, throwing in my quinacridone gold, and we'll just throw this in all the way over there. And change the color a little bit as we come back, darken it here and there. All right, this is a good place to use my blender brush and to come in here and start softening this up and blending it together. And this brush, you can just sort of pick up that paint and just move it around. And start getting things that look like ripples in the sand or whatever, and then you start bringing the water in, overlapping it, and you're getting the look of a beach here. At least somewhere where somebody can pull a rowboat in or whatever. You can just dock it up here or not, and that's kind of the idea. And got this big. Oh, I want to do a back in here. I need to put a little bit more of this type of stuff because it's sort of sandy on the other side of this. Like this, we'll run it back this way, and we'll soften the top edge of that because we're going to throw some other tree-like stuff back there, and I'm going to wet some of that paper back there first, and throw some other types of trees and stuff back there. I'm wetting it with a sort of yellow-green color right now. You probably see that. So let's get this brush going with some blue, hooker's green. Saying put more contrast in the sky. Is that what I read you're saying there? Yeah, maybe. I want a smaller brush. I'm going to put in some more trees that sort of go behind this part of the building here, and we'll just push them out this way, like that, and maybe a few more things over here to look like there's some other kinds of brush or bushes or something over here. So I've got room for my final big tree here, and a lot of grasses going up. The thing I wanted to show you here is that this is still pretty wet, but I'm going to throw some grass in around these posts here. Make it look like there's some sort of a palm or something like that that sort of grows around there, and darken the bottom so that it kind of merges in. Merge it in with the, sorry for that noise folks, there's some contractor work going on around here that I can't control, so I have to kind of just work with it. The sky is not supposed to be white, Tom. It's supposed to have some blue color in it, and I could put some darker clouds in there. There's a little blue over here you can see, but I just kind of wanted to leave it light and that sort of thing. Down here at the bottom, we're going to put in the, where's my, I'm going to get my round brush. We're going to try to put this palm tree base in and run it up the side here, if I can get a good dark enough color, using umber and burnt sienna. And I'm going to come in here, and actually I wanted to put in just a little bit of water on one side here to sort of blend it a little bit. If I just wet part of it like this, half of it, when I start putting this color in, I can just sort of run it up there, and it will sort of blend and blur and merge. And this is sort of an old Bob Ross trick, right? He used to do this with his trees in his oil painting classes, right? So run that thing right off the top of the paper, and so I want the back side to be, the left side to be a little darker than the right side. So let's put in some darker paint down here like this, maybe some texture in like that, and just spot it with some darker spots along here. We're going to come back and put the green over the top, and then we want this bottom to have some softness, so let's merge it in with the grasses below, because the wood has to say hard. You have to have a hard edge to say this is wood, right? This is a hard tree, but where it merges with the sand, it's going to get blurred together, and you want it to have some softness. So that's that deal. Let's come in and now put some, see if I can find a way to use my round brush to make some of these palm fronds on the top of this tree. Get some of this hooker's green and my ultra blue, and get a nice dark heavy green. Wash that out, get my bright yellow over here. I'm going to stick that in there. So by just adding that, I'm going to end up with 2 or 3 flavors of green. So I can have some light palm fronds on the right side, and I'll have darker ones in the middle. And put this in. We'll come back and touch it up here with some darker colors. Come in and hit the darker colors so we can cover the cover the trunk, right? Let some of that trunk show, but we're just running this off like that. And again, it's trying to get these things at the edges that look like palm branches sticking out. And you also want to throw in some brighter color. You want to get more than 2 values in there. You want to get some 3 values if you can. That's the idea. 3 values. 3 values will give you some really dark 3-dimensional look. Let's get some more of this Payne's gray, maybe to darken some of that down. I can write in here maybe. Okay, so we're just kind of put in the light, medium, and dark, and I hope the reflection of the light's not too much on that for you to see that. Okay, I don't know if that makes a good palm tree or not, but I know there's about 2,000 types of palm trees, and Florida's got about all of them here. Come back and touch this up a little bit with some rougher texture over these to kind of give a little more 3-dimensionality to these branches, or these fronds, or whatever we got going on here. I'm painting with the side of the brush. I'm not even using the point. Just to kind of flesh it out a little bit, add some more texture and that sort of thing. Something like that. Okay, I'm getting close to my hour. I'm about ready to stop here, but I got this little bitty sign that's sitting out here that's got some writing on it. Put this down, like I'm going to just put a little bright, let that set and dry off a little bit while I work on this. Sound like I'm in the dentist office. Sorry folks, can't control it. Okay, not too bad for a straight line. And like that. We got this little sign now we got hanging out here that's You don't have to do all this on yours if you don't want. I'm just kind of, and see how this works. This little boat needs to have some more definition of his curvature so that you know this is a boat. If you can see that well. So I'm just putting in some very light, almost calligraphy-like. And over here we got his stuff that's on the menu. Can't read it because I'm making it so you can't read it. But we're going to have some things like this. Maybe there's a couple of rough places in the ceiling here. Something like this. Put a few more spots in here that kind of highlight things, and need some shadows probably. I haven't put any shadows in here yet. This, that, I've got some. Could have some shadows here by these guys. They're pretty big Kind of tells you where the sun is coming from. This back here could all be that, and all underneath that dock should probably all be darker because of it's overlapping the water enough that it should really be dark, something like that. Yeah, a little better. All right. What else? My boat's got pretty well done. I could probably put another thing or two on that boat to kind of, you're just trying to make a symbol for a boat out here. Out here we're going to have something that says maybe like and what else we're going to sell? We're going to sell some bait, I guess. Okay, food, bait, that's good enough. You'll do a better job when you do yours because you'll have more time, but I want to finish this off. Put a little more shadow here on the left side of this tree. And actually we could put some more grasses. Actually, that's what I want to do. I'm going to use my big, this brush with the bristles in it and come in here and sort of put in some things around this tree to sort of and put in some nice things to kind of close this off so it doesn't look like you're looking off into space over here. On this side we'll put a few more things in to look like we got some more grasses over here. Kind of just want to close these corners in so you're not looking off into the, don't want you to take off looking into somewhere else. Got that, put some more grasses up here maybe. Maybe grasses around there. A couple more things. One is the sort of splattering of some just clear water. Helps loosen the painting up a little bit. You work hard not to make blossoms, but then sometimes you come back and you can put this clear water in and it will make beautiful little blossoms for you, and it really enhances the painting. What else here? I want to put in some more of this thing. Doesn't look like it's very complete for some reason to me. All right, I'm getting about done here, folks. I just want to kind of put in some things that look like we got some shadows going. Take my 1/2" brush here and I want to put a shadow sort of across here. The glaze. Something like that to kind of help you see that. I never did scrape anything out of this little area here. It's got some, you can't really see, well maybe you can see it. There's got some blossoms going on in there, so it makes it look like there's some texture in there. What else can I do here? I'm getting pretty close to running out of stuff to do. This should be a little softer maybe. Here should be a little softer. Okay, yeah, last couple things. Let me throw in just a few more splatters. Now, this was clear water. You throw some clear water in and you'll lighten things up and leave some water blossoms, but you can also do this kind of a trick, which I like to do very often, is get a lot of water in this rigger brush with some dark paint and just sort of throw it around. It just kind of makes everything loosen up. All right. Then one last item is just throw my name on here and call it finished. I could put a few more things in here like this. To show this is really in the foreground, we can put some of these bigger things here. We've got foreground weeds, we got middle ground, I've got background. So we want to make them all look sort of like they're you know, the ones in the front really, at least one artist says you can't really over-exaggerate what's in the foreground like this. No matter how big you make these things, it will not look bad if you make these grasses or whatever they are in the foreground, because you've got bigger shapes, medium shapes, and smaller shapes for the ground. So that's kind of a, if I got something here. I'm going to fuss around with this too much. I want to show some. I think that looked more like water. Okay, stop. Somebody tell me to stop. Where's Lindy when she says, "Where's your birds?" Birds, birds. Oh, come on. Give me some paint here. Gotta get something that looks like a bird up here, at least a couple of them. Like that. I think I had your. It's in the way. Might get another one down here somewhere. All right. I think I'm going to stop and say that's about enough of that, and darker into the roof overhang. Good point. Might as well just put a little bit more into there. Thanks for your help, you guys. As you see things that I can't see because I'm kind of too close to it here, and it's really, really valuable when you chime in and add some things. And put this, maybe there's some shadows here on this tree that kind of give it a little more texture, and there, I put a little more of that darker under the roof. On the windows, we'd have a little more shadow on this side of the window, probably like that, underneath it maybe. It just helps amplify the architectural elements if you kind of do these kind of things. And right there. Okay. All right. That's not too bad for my second video of the, since I've come out from under cancer. All right. Let's see. Where can I put my name? How about right in here? All right. There we go. Sorry you had to look at my ugly side of my face a lot today. I'm going to take that out of the video when I edit it, and I won't have as much of that in there. I have another side camera over here, so most of this will be showing from a side view. So that's my little painting called The Landing, and hope you like it. Hope you can give it a try, and let me know how you do, and tell me if you like it or not. And if you like my videos, please like them, share them with your friends, and please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And look up Antonio Romo. His music was on here before I started, and he's very nice to let me use his music. So I think that's all I want to say today. So until I see you next time, this is Larry Hamblin saying so long for now. Bye-bye.